Welcome back, everyone, to the After the Scales podcast, episode 57, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove of Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight of Canadian Racing Tours. And on today's episode, we're going to have SKYLAR GEE and Logan Fenton joining us to talk about their World of Outlaws announcement. But before we do that, Shaun was at the Chili Bowl just this past week. Shaun, tell us about your experience. I know it was a crazy full week for you. You're getting over that Chili Bowl flu right now. Just tell us about the experiences of your first time there.
Yeah, the Chili Bowl flu is not a myth. It's a real thing, and I've got it, if you can't tell by my voice. Other than a raspy voice and a stuffy nose, I feel fine, but it was totally worth it. I'd never done the Chili Bowl before, and anyone who hasn't done it, if it's on your bucket list, you have to go. It's always been an event that I watch every year. Some days I tune out because there's maybe not as many big names as other nights. But being down there, it's addictive. Like, I thought maybe there'd be a couple nights where we want to go do something else, but we couldn't wait to get to the venue every day. It was that fun. And the racing on the track, from my end anyways, was fantastic. The A mains were terrific almost every night. I would say maybe the one night that wasn't that captivating with all the yellow flags was the night that Landon Brooks won, and that was really cool because it was Landon Brooks and Brennan Crouch battling for the win, two guys you don't normally see up front on their regular tours. So all in all, fantastic event. Kyle Larson wins. I think, like everyone else on the Saturday, being down in the infield, I didn't see the banners on the track. So when I saw Larson kind of climb the wall and the yellow came out, I wasn't hiding the fact that I wanted Jason Pursley to win. So I was pretty upset. Then I look at the video screen and I see these banners going across the track. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. So what can you say about Kyle Larson that hasn't already been said? You just have to enjoy the greatness that he is, because he is our AJ Foyt, if not better than AJ Foyt. I think there's probably an Indy 500 win for him at some point. Daytona 500, like, the guy he's that good, and he's a treat to watch. So I hope you enjoyed it watching on. I'm wishing you were there, Jacob, but I hope it looked as good at home as it did in person.
Oh yeah, watching it, every single night throughout the week was really exciting. All the prelims, like the finishes, were just unbelievable. I mean, the Tulsa shootout in itself was really exciting, and then to carry that over into the Chili Bowl was really something to watch. Everybody has been raving about it, saying it's been one of the best, Tulsa shootouts and Chili Bowls that they've ever seen. Really looking forward to the 40th annual next year. Really need a plan to get there because I've never been there, so I'm on my bucket list to get there next year. You mentioned about Larson and the banners on the track. That's been one of the biggest topics on social media since the Chili Bowl. I can't open my phone without seeing, should have Larson been penalized and sent back to the tail after that incident? And then the other hot topic has been with Clinton Boyles and his brother-in-law, Hunter Schoenberg, getting disqualified from the event after Simple Green was shown in the tire test. And they're allowed to race next year, which is kind of contradictory to what the flow racing people were talking about, as well as the official saying, if you get caught cheating, you're not welcome next year. So what are some of your thoughts on that, Shaun? I know you were there. It was big talk probably back in the pits. Share your thoughts about that.
Well, that was kind of going down. I was kind of lining up at the ramp for the Parade of States and countries. I know they call it the Parade of States, but as a Canadian, there's several countries represented. So the Parade of States and countries, everyone was kind of on their phones at that point, reading the news that was coming down. And there were some rumors the night before about maybe Logan Seavey, because I think word was getting out that they had caught somebody. They just didn't know who it was. I can't speak for the rules, what they said that they were going to do if you were caught, because I hadn't heard that going into the week. So I mean, it's obviously, if they went back on that's not right either. But I know they were very strict. I know the whole week people were talking about not getting caught cheating and what they were checking for. You could see it at the top of the ramp. The one thing that's cool about the Chili Bowl, and we saw with the Tulsa shootout, is when cars are going through tech, like if you have a pit pass, you can stand there and watch them do tech. So it's very transparent. It's very open, maybe unlike some of the other racing series. So if they catch something or if they're looking at something, like it's out there in the open, there's no hiding it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, there were rumblings all week of people wetting tires or what people can use to get away with doing stuff, which is too bad. But it goes to show like how much prestige there is in this event and how badly everyone wants to win it when everyone's maybe trying to look for an edge. But it's unfortunate. Honestly, I was a little surprised that those were the only two guys that were caught, because there was so much talk going into the week and during the week about some other guys maybe trying some things.
Yeah, I have to, between 400 drivers in the building, that only 2 drivers get disqualified. It's kind of hard to believe, with that much talk about cheating. But I mean, the biggest thing is making a fair field. Everybody wants fair cars out there, and I think Chili Bowl officials have done a great job of, trying to implement it. We've seen it with the racetrack. It's not taking rubber as much. We're seeing more competitive races, not people getting an advantage. So they really crack down on it. They can make sure that it's a level playing field. And as far as the banners go, I think the best solution to that is just take those banners and keep them on the outside of the track. There's no other racetrack that we race out throughout the year that has banners on the inside. So if you really want to not make it a topic, just move those banners on the outside of the track and you won't have to worry about it. So
problem solved. And really, I mean, it wasn't till Saturday where you saw guys like literally driving along the wall. And I can't remember that being an issue the last few years. Like if Larson didn't tear the banners down, like somebody else was going to, because if you looked around the track, everyone was up riding the wall and bouncing off the wall, which was wild. Like it was especially being in the infield, like you're seeing the cars, you're seeing the drivers' heads, and you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be seeing that when I'm down below the racing surface. But just all in all, the event was it's so spectacular. And if you're a race fan, just to be able to walk around the pits, the drivers themselves are so accessible. When guys aren't racing, they're there. I was up with the top row rowdies for a couple of the nights, and Justin Peck sitting up there, or Tanner Holmes is sitting up there. Like the guys who they want to experience it too. They want to take in the event as race fans. So that's really cool. Like they're just sitting amongst the regular fans, and guys are having some beers and having a good time, and it really is a unique event. And it was really fun to be a part of it, and hopefully I get to go back next year.
And when you have guys like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell showing up, going into it, if you're a regular midget driver, you're going to have to beat those guys going into it. They've been showing success there over the years. So if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And anybody saying, oh, Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell are coming down from NASCAR and beating up on the competition, just gives the racers a challenge. I know a guy like Tanner Thorson wants to beat those guys more than anybody. He wants to make a statement like, hey, I can beat Larson, I can beat Bell. So hats off to Larson for a great week of racing. That pole shuffle was really interesting to watch, and I'm sure Dason Persley is going to, get a driller here soon. So while you're at the Chili Bowl, Shaun, you saw Sye Lynch, one of our guests and good buddies of the show, announce something really big with joining High Limit in 2025. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I was privy to that information a while ago, and actually got to hang out with Sye on Sunday after practice. So it was, I had a hard time holding that information in, knowing that there was going to be a press conference on Wednesday. But we went out for a couple of sodas on Sunday night, and we were celebrating that upcoming news. So congrats to Sye. I know he's really excited, and I know people in his circle are really excited and supportive of him. And Western Pennsylvania is going to have a driver to root for on the High Limit tour. So we can bring up the official rosters now for High Limit and the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series as that list continues to grow. So it was really cool. Sye got to do the media avail on Wednesday, and it was a lot of people talking about it. So that was cool that High Limit had that kind of exposure during the Chili Bowl to make that announcement during that week. So that was a really cool thing to experience.
Yeah, and as we look at the list, we're going to see, according to rumors, a couple more guys adding to the High Limit and World of Outlaws schedule. Um, you've heard some news about the Bill Rose #6 going back to the World of Outlaws. That's got to be pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah, so there's again kind of privy to some information. Nothing is official, but it sounds as though that Bill Rose is close to naming a driver for the #6 to return to the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Tour for next year. Not going to say or speculate who the driver is, although I've heard that an announcement could be coming soon, which it would have to come soon because you're looking at Volusia in a week or two. So that is on the horizon. And then, of course, the announcement came today with SKYLAR GEE. It's been a couple of years since there's been a full-time Canadian on a national touring series for sprint cars. It was Robbie Price a couple of years ago with Jason Sides. And now Logan Fenton and SKYLAR GEE announced today that they're joining the World of Outlaw Tour. And I think, Jacob and Charlotte, you were standing around. We were talking to Logan Fenton, and that was going to be his plan. He just didn't know which tour that he was going to run. And so when we have them on today, I'm kind of curious to see how they came about making that decision and why they chose the Outlaws over High Limit. But that was another thing like Garrett Williamson, where at Charlotte, we kind of knew that those teams were going to be joining a tour. We just didn't know which one. So it's cool to see that they're both going to be on the World of Outlaw Tour next year.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see a lot of guys committing to tours, especially High Limit and World of Outlaws being the top two shows to see on a weekend basis. Really looking forward to seeing Sye and Skylar going on High Limit and World of Outlaws. And then before we have Skylar and Logan join us, wanted to give everybody a little update on the late model side of things. Not much to talk about other than snow and rain. Golden Isles only got one night in for Lucas Dirt Speedweeks so far. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has been a pain in the butt, to say the least. We saw a good race where Tyler Bruning was able to capture his first Lucas Dirt win after many years of trying. So that was really cool to see the Skyline Motorsports guys get that win in that beautiful black and gold race car. Some guys like Ricky Thornton Jr. didn't have the best of nights, so it's going to be interesting to see how he rebounds. He hasn't committed to Lucas or World of Outlaws yet, so be interesting to see how RTJ does the next couple of weeks heading into the full season. And then recently, on social media, they've shared that the next couple days, well, the past couple days has been rained out. Tomorrow has been rained out for Thursday's competition at Volusia. And as far as modified week at Ocala Speedway has been rained out as well. So we're hoping and praying here that we'll get some racing down here in Florida going. It's super cold, snowing. Never seen that in my life. So definitely some weird stuff going on, but we can only hope that the race cars will be out there soon.
Yeah, I better get that out of the way before next week when I arrive. We've got enough of that cold weather. I'm packing shorts for Florida, so it better be nice. Yeah, if we bring this list back up, just want to talk about the strength of sprint car racing right now, where both series lose a full-time driver. Brock Zierfoss with the Outlaws, Jacob Allen with High Limit, and yet both series are going to have more drivers this year than they had last year. There are times in the last few years where the Outlaws would show up with maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 max full-time teams, and they are going to be well above that next year. So when you're looking at a outlaw tour going to maybe tracks that they'd struggle to get 20 cars, where that's probably not going to be the case anymore. And same with High Limit. I mean, you look at that list, the depth there is maybe it doesn't have the top depth of names that the Outlaws have, but that mid-tier is very strong, and that's going to be a very competitive series, and I'm looking forward to that. So kudos to sprint car racing, man. It's great to see. It's in a great spot. Purses are up, attendance is up at the tracks, the streaming is through the roof. So that's between the late models and the sprint cars, that's the place to be for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Shaun, but I'm really excited to see the rookies this year, and not being biased that we've had almost every rookie on this list on our show, but just excited to see how those guys compete with those top guys in each series. David Gravel, Donnie Schatz, Buddy Kofoid's been really strong, Sheldon Hanshield and the Outlaws. I'm really excited to see, Wyndham, Williamson, G. And then on high limit side, you got the guys like Courtney, Sweet, Abreu, um, Peck, Marks. Those guys are going to be top of the game, and I'm really excited to see Danny get his shot, Sye Lynch, Pursley coming from USAC, and Reitzel's going to be really hard to contend with. So really excited to see.
Yeah, and speaking of rookies, we're going to have one of those 4 rookies on the World of Outlaw Tour, SKYLAR GEE, and his car owner, Logan Fenton. So we're going to talk to them and just ask them why they chose the Outlaws and what they're looking forward to in 2025. So we'll be back with them right after this.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.
And joining us now on this podcast is the driver of the 99 Sprint car, SKYLAR GEE, and car owner Logan Fenton. First of all, congratulations, guys, and thanks for being on today's podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So big news joining the World of Outlaws in 2025. Start with you, Skylar. What was the biggest thing looking to the schedule between the high limit and the World of Outlaws schedules, and really deciding, between the tours, which one you wanted to do in 2025?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, we weighed both options pretty heavily. Like I feel like we spent most of the winter going back and forth on what we were going to do, and we were supposed to have a decision at PRI, and then we still couldn't seem to make up our minds. But I mean, ultimately, we sat down and decided the Outlaws was going to be the best thing for us.
Yeah, so Logan, what led to the Outlaw decision? I know, like, we were talking at Charlotte, and you guys were pretty certain you were going to run one of the tours full time. You just hadn't decided which one. We had Danny Sams on a couple weeks ago. They were in the same boat. They chose the high limit route. What was it for you guys that led to the World of Outlaws being the best choice?
Well, I mean, again, I think it's also a really hard question to answer too. But when it came down to it, we built Excel spreadsheets to try to break this whole thing down and see what would be better for us. And I thought for us, being a newly found national touring team, as we were trying to do, that the whole structure of the Outlaws for the first year that we're going to attempt this just fit us a little bit better. And, we could get into the details in terms of the monetary reasons and the structure of each racing organization. But I think the overall answer is we just felt, as we went back and forth and weighed so many times. And by the way, I want to add, it was not like an easy, clear-cut decision by any means. That the Outlaws were just a better fit for us on the first year. So,
yeah, and really like high limit and Rodman and Kendra Jacobs and Mike Hess, they were all really, really good to work with the whole time. Like we had talks a few times with them, and they were great to work with. It was nothing against them. Like it's not like I hate to say like choosing sides, but it's just what we felt was best.
And looking at the World of Outlaws schedule, you're going to be racing 85 races. 13 of them are going to be new tracks for you, Skylar. What are some events and racetracks that you're really looking forward to coming up this year?
Obviously the Oswego stuff. That's going to be great. Be the first time I think I've raced on Canadian soil since 2016, maybe 17. I don't remember, but 16 for sure. That whole swing. I think going back to California, I spent some time out there earlier on in my career, and I'm excited to go back up to California. And same thing with like the Texas swing here in March. Same thing. I spent some time out there with AFCS, and excited for all that.
And Logan, I wanted to ask you, we never had a car owner on before, so this is kind of cool for us. I've watched your program grow the last few years into what it is now. You guys, I mean, no disrespect, everybody starts out, you're struggling to make shows. You're kind of running that. You're trying to make that mid pack. Now you guys are making big shows. You're making Kings Royal events, Charlotte events. You're running with the best of the best. What do you guys need to do now to take that next step into running consistently kind of in that top 10?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you just said it, right? Like to run at this level, you've got to find the entire put together every night to come with an ultimate goal, which is being consistent. And I think in our previous years when we first started this thing, that was one of our biggest things. There was no doubt of like, hey, does Skylar have the talent, or do we have the right equipment? Although that has also been something we've had to build. You can't just start off with the best of the best stuff, because first of all, you can't find it. But to answer the question, I think we got to find consistency every single night, right? Like we got to go out, we got to set down 2 laps to qualify to put us in a position. Our next plan of attack, we got to make the dash, and then in the feature, we got to run good, consistent laps and just be there competitive every night. I say that like it's an easy task, and we all know it's not. These guys are the best, and that's a reason why we're trying to get there. But just to say it simply, we got to find consistency night in and night out, and that's really what it comes down to.
And Logan, you kind of touched on it, but looking at the World of Outlaws and what they provide for the drivers and the teams, I know we talked about it at Charlotte, kind of behind the scenes, talking about tow money, some of the extra purse money that they available to the drivers. Just talk about that whole process, and was that kind of a big thing that you wanted to focus on when making your decision to join the Outlaws?
Yeah, I mean, I won't get into the actual numbers. That's something that's sort of simplified to team owners and drivers that we know about, and there's a reason for that. But some of those things definitely played a part in it, and I also think that just the entire structure of itself and year-end payouts, the schedule, the travel. All those things really came into play. I don't want to say it was just, for necessarily the financial reasons, although we got to be honest and say that that's part of it. But without saying the actual numbers, it played a factor, yes.
And I'll ask one for both of you guys. Skylar, maybe we'll start with you. Racing in general is so cutthroat, and you guys have been a team for a few years now. And you're kind of growing both together at the same time, both you as a driver and Logan as an owner. We're watching you both progress in those departments. What is it about you two together that makes this such a good fit?
It's kind of clicked from day one, really. Like, I mean, yeah, we are, boss and employee, but really Logan and Becky, their whole family's really taken me in from day one. And, that's been a big part of it for me. Like being down here, I don't, have my family here all the time. So, it's become more of a family thing than like a job and stuff like that. Like it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, for us, when we started this thing, Skylar and I didn't know each other that well, but he's absolutely correct. I mean, he's become family. I mean, it's funny, like we actually we spend holidays together and stuff now, so a little bit different than just being a driver-owner relationship. But I've always seen something in Skylar that I know where we're heading, and I think that's actually starting to ring true, right? But for me, I guess when we started this thing, nothing against anything Skylar has had an opportunity to do in the past or any of those people that he's worked with. But I just felt like if we provided him with the right opportunity, we really have something here. And I think that's starting to come to fruition, as a lot of people can see. We're starting to turn some heads. And like you said, we've made some really big shows. But I'm not sure that he's ever had an opportunity in the past to really display what he can do as a whole. And I'm just trying to build an organization to where we have the right equipment, the right people, and the right attitude to get to where we need to be, and I think we're on our way.
And speaking of the past, Skylar, you're no stranger to running a national tour. You've ran the ASCS and the All-Star Circuit of Champions. What are some expectations going into making that big step to the World of Outlaws? I feel like everybody's dream is to race in the World of Outlaws if you're a sprint car driver, and your dad, Tim, ran with the series too, so I'm sure he's proud as well.
Yeah, I think we're keeping the expectations realistic, but at the same time, like I understand a little bit more when it comes to the preparedness of everything. Does that make sense? Racing 85, 90 times a year and every weekend and everything. It's a lot of preparation. Like the smallest things can derail a good season. So for me, it's making sure that we are as ready as we possibly can be. When it comes time to leave for Florida here. Um, one of our goals is to win Rookie of the Year, and that's going to be a tall task. And to be a competitive top 10, top 5 car every night. I think we're capable of that.
Yeah, you literally stole my next question. It was going to be for your goals for 2025. I was going to say, safe to say that Rookie of the Year would be the top one. Just personal goals for both of you then.
For me as a team owner, man, I'm happy to be here. I think we got a real shot at this. We could go over the really specifics of each driver that's running for this class, but we all know Cole and Garrett and Wyndham are they're no slouches. This isn't going to be an easy ride, but I most certainly think that we have an opportunity to win this thing. And then on top of that, for me as an owner going into the World of Outlaws, man, would it be cool to win an outlaw race, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. And I know we will. There's no doubt in my mind that we will. How soon? It's going to take a little work, but for me, I think winning some outlaw races this year would be the pinnacle. Yeah.
And you guys have both been around sprint car racing for a while now. We were just talking before you guys came on. We had the list of the drivers running the Outlaws and High Limit. And what both series have in common is just there's more full-time drivers running each series than ran it last year. Yeah. And the state of sprint car racing it's like, you can't even argue. It's in the best place it's ever been when you look at the talent, the money that's involved. Just how exciting is it for you guys just in general, just to be involved in the sport right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's, honestly, looking back, I would have loved to do it last year, but we just weren't quite in this place, it seemed like we needed this year and to make those big races and continue to grow before, I felt confident to do it. I mean, my dad and I talked for years about just, he was always, oh, let's just go outlaw racing. And I always told him, I said, I didn't want to do it until I felt like we were in a place that we could be competitive every night to do it. Like, I didn't want to go out there and just make the show. I wanted to go out and do something.
And Logan, I feel like when we spoke in Charlotte that you've really invested in Skylar's career. I know you said that you were getting finished building a new shop. You've invested in a mental health coach for Skylar, just giving him the right resources to be at top of his game. Sprint car racing is grueling. You're on the road constantly. Talk about, why you want to do that for Skylar and how much benefits it has for him.
Well, I mean, I'll segue into the sideline answer, but the main one is, man, you don't have a choice anymore. You just really don't have a choice anymore. The level of competition that's in our sport, we all see it. These guys are dedicated. Everybody's doing these things now at the top level. And the guys we race against night in and night out are so good that you have to be doing those things behind the scene. If you're not, you might as well just go weekend racing. So Skylar and I have had these talks, so many times over the last couple of years about doing that next thing to give us that edge. And I'm constantly searching for things to make us better. He's willing to listen, and that's a big thing, right? Like, I could be the team owner that says all these things, but if Skylar's not willing to do it, we really go nowhere, and he is, and he's putting in the work. And that comes with so many things, right? The mental game, getting in the gym, watching film, and then me doing my part on my end and trying to manage this and all the other businesses so we can keep making money to keep doing this thing. But there's just so much that goes into this now. It's not like we're not cowboying this stuff anymore. We're trying to be a legit organization. And I hope that those fruits of fruition, so to speak, will get us where we need to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to see with Skylar, going out on the tour, really just kind of promoting yourself as a driver and Logan Fenton Racing as a brand. You guys have your new hats on there. We've seen, your T-shirts and stuff, but any plans on expanding your merchandise? We see a lot of those guys with their own T-shirt trailers. Are you investing in maybe, getting into new merch designs and all that for any new fans?
Yeah. The goal is to try and have the online stuff done before Florida, and then we have a T-shirt trailer and everything. We're gonna try to have it for the second round of Volusia. It's impossible to find people nowadays. So, we need to have a dedicated person in that thing full time. And, I think once everything gets going here and we get off the ground a little bit, then we can, and we'll be in a better spot with all that stuff. But
Yeah, I actually just want to add to that. So Skylar's he's too humble to say it, but I will. So all the viewers out there, y'all got to get involved in this hashtag G Money Nation. Everybody Money Nation, all right? So we've got our own G Money line now, and you're going to start seeing a lot of that in the merch trailer. But yeah, we got a merch trailer. I don't know if, like you said, we're going to make it this first round just because y'all got so many things going on. It's early in the season. But there's a lot of cool things to come with the merch. Yes, absolutely. Hashtag G Money Nation.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep tweeting that out and pushing that out for sure. Just on a personal note, I know I shared this with you, Logan, at Charlotte. Just and Skylar can attest to this. As a Canadian growing up in Canada, we always complain that our drivers don't get noticed, they don't get invested in, and we see a lot of talent that kind of doesn't really get a shot south of the border. And for me, as a Canadian race fan, it really means a lot to see someone like yourself investing in Skylar in his racing career. We don't get a lot of Canadians on the World of Outlaw Tour. There's only been like maybe one, and Robbie Price was a couple of years ago. And so this, as a racing fan up here, it means a lot. And it means even more that you guys are going to be at Oshweekend for 2 nights. So that's really cool. So, and I know it's been a whirlwind few days, and we both, Jacob and I, we really thank you for taking time out today to come on and share this news with us.
And yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks.
And make sure to drop a comment down below on this podcast, hashtag G Money Nation, to show some support for Skylar's new slogan. And thanks guys for being on. Good luck at Volusia coming up here down in Florida. Hopefully the snow gets out of my state. I'm sick of hearing about it. And see you guys when you get down here.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.